to create and grow income streams and manage, multiply, and protect your wealth in the new economy. Are you tired of trading your time for money? Do you desire freedom today instead of retirement in 10, 20, or 30 years? I'm MC Laubscher, and this is the Cashflow Ninja. Joining me is Mr. Gerald Celente. Mr. Gerald Celente is the publisher of the Trends Journal. The world's #1 trend forecaster is Mr. Gerald Celente from the Trends Research Institute. Mr. Celente, always a pleasure to speak with you.
Thanks for having me on.
As I alluded to earlier, I don't know what we're going to talk about. There's not a whole lot going on, not a lot to discuss in the world. 2020 has been off to quite a start. I figured we'd dive into the one that's making the headlines the most right now, and that is the coronavirus. Maybe if you want to share some of your thoughts on the coronavirus, it's obviously impacting everyone. The media frenzy has started. They love have people in hazmat suits on television, draws eyeballs, so I understand that too. What is your take on it?
It's goodbye, Rosie, Queen of Coronavirus. Here's the headlines today, Friday. Oh, this is yesterday, March 6th. This is March 6th. Britain has recorded its first death in the new coronavirus outbreak. First death. How many people live in the UK? What, about 60 million people?
Yep.
First death. Coronavirus live updates. U.S. may discourage cruises. University of Washington goes 100% online. So here we go. More than 100,000 have caught the disease. Global deaths, 3,383. Out of a population of what? 7.7 billion? Hey, how many people are they killing in Yemen this week? Who cares about a Yemen? We got a coronavirus to worry about. U.S. cases, 233. But 14 people died out of a population of 327 million people. And then when you look at who's dying, they're elderly and chronically ill for the most part. What else do we have over here? It's one piece of fear after another being spread nonstop. And the way I see it, the Netherlands confirmed the country's first fatality. You ready? An 86-year-old man infected with coronavirus. And again, these are people that have been chronically ill before. 18,000 people in America have died of the flu this year so far. This is like the whole measles epidemic. The measles, 927 people got the measles in the United States last year. Out of a population, again, out of 327 million people.
Yep.
The moronic governments are destroying the global economy with the ignorant measures these two-bit freaks are taking. Closing down schools. Italy, you're not allowed to kiss each other on the face and the cheeks anymore. Don't kiss people, stand 3 meters away. What moron made up this crap? Oh, and then we're going to quarantine these cities. You quarantined the cities, but it didn't stop, did it? It's a flu outbreak. Hey, it took global warming off the front page. You're going to be dead before that. How about all the poisons they're putting in the water? Hey, you like those colors in your food and those additives? How about those pesticides or those chemicals? Hey, don't worry about that. We got a coronavirus to worry about. Oh, in China, what is about 3,000 people died there? How many people died last year there of relative to air pollution? 1.5 million. Yeah, but that's only air pollution. It's only the shit that we're putting in the air. It's okay. You could die from that. We're making money, making money. This is imbecilic, as I see it, moronic, low-life political crap that they're throwing on the people and destroying the global economy.
The 1% grow their business and investments every year, regardless of the economy and marketplace, and pay very little or no taxes legally. Besides having the right mindset, elite strategies and tactics, and the council of elite wealth advisors, coaches, and mentors, they have access to opportunities that the rest of the population do not. If you're an accredited investor, we have a network that provides Cashflow Ninja listeners access to exclusive business and investment opportunities. To join our investors network, please apply at cashflowninjainvestorsnetwork.com. That's cashflowninjainvestorsnetwork.com.
As you know, I had forecast the greatest depression. I said it would begin in 2021. This wild card could push it now. The airline industry, gone. Tourism, dead. Cruise ships, you better not get on one because you won't be able to get off one. Retail, poof, I'm not going to the mall. The mailman over here is somebody told me his son, he's canceling his son's birthday party. People are freaking out over this stuff. And again, it's just, hey, want to invest in a real hot stock? How about buying some oil futures? Yeah, what is oil now? Brent crude's like about $48, $46 a barrel. Oh, no, Saudis, they got a case. They had a case in Saudi Arabia. Yeah. How many people did they behead yesterday? Well, oh, no, but they got a case. Oh, and they got some case in front of them. They need oil about $190 to $100 a barrel for their economy to break even. And now it's below $50 a barrel. This is destroying the global economy. By little freaks. We got this little Andrew Cuomo over here. Another boy born on third base and thought he hit a home run. Another guy with a bad attitude, like his brother Chrissy on CNN, the Cartoon News Network, born on third base and thought they hit a home run. Little boys that'd be nobodies if daddy wasn't there before him, paving the way. Now he put in this thing where he has all these emergency powers over the people of New York State. A clown boy got the power over the whole state. So that's what's going on. And the important thing to me about this is to show you how the governments can take control. They're in full control. All you are, everybody listening, get this straight. You're nothing more than a plantation worker on the multinational plantation of Slavelandia. So you go do as you're told. We're not going to pay you anything to work and get back to work. That's what's going on. The governments have taken entire control, and the people just bend over and take it.
Yeah, I was looking at this too, and I thought the big winner so far is clearly the TV networks, because for their advertisers, because this draws, the fear, pandemic, people in hazmat suits, so that brings a lot of eyeballs and clickbait. I mean, I was just surfing the web looking at the headlines. It's all clickbait to get traffic to them, because you click on something, it's like, oh, all planes are canceled, and I click on that article, and it was some flights that was canceled into certain cities, right? And then the other one, as you mentioned, Mr. Celente, is the governments that are now in full control. So those folks clearly are the big winners. Then obviously there are some losers too. You alluded to, we the people, right, around the globe being the losers in it. And then we are seeing the stock market carnage. I just looked at this morning again. The last time I looked, it was down another 6,000. What is it? 600 points. It's down for over the last week or so. What's going on in the markets? Tying that into how does this continue to play out in the markets? And you alluded to and mentioned a little bit how this will impact the economy. What are some of the other things that you're seeing around markets and economy, and how this plays into that?
We're ready for a correction. We're way overvalued. And the other thing we forgot to talk about, look how they just lowered interest rates, another 50 basis points.
Yep.
Last time when the Great Recession happened, interest rates were over 5%. Now they're 1%, and the recession hasn't begun yet.
Yep.
And then you go to Europe. What they got? Minus 0.5 interest rates. They're going to go down to minus 0.6. What's that going to do to promote the economy? Nothing. All this is going to do is allow the gamblers to keep gambling in the markets. And that's what they want to do. They keep on pumping them up. But here's where the big problem is going to be. The correction was ready to happen. But now this is a different correction because it's being corrected on declining profits, on declining sales. It's a different correction. It's a real correction. It's just not a market correction. Here's another headline, just came out. New York State coronavirus cases triple in 48 hours. They tripled. You know what the grand total is now? 33 people in a state of 20 million. These are cases. I got the flu. I got a virus. That's the headlines. This is what they're doing. They're selling fear and hysteria, just like you pointed out. It's kind of like when there's a hurricane coming.
Yep.
And all the prostitutes get dressed up in their hurricane drag, you know? They got the raincoats on and the wind's blowing and the water's coming over the boardwalk and the trees are blowing and there's a branch that fell. And the hurricane's 300 miles off the coast of Miami. So they'll do it for another couple of days. Everybody evacuates. Same thing going on. And now the other thing is, there was a big movement moving against the states that are forcing people to get vaccinated. And they had a vote up in Maine on Super Tuesday, Stupid Tuesday. What's Super Tuesday? Super jerks of the presidential reality show. Anyway, they had a referendum on the Maine state ballot whether or not they could force the children to get vaccinated. On a referendum. They lost because of the coronavirus. So now they're going to keep pressing more and more, pushing harder and harder to vaccinate everybody, to get you to force to take tests. This is total government control. Total government control. Oh, hey, remember those protests in Hong Kong that were going on all the time? Haven't heard any of those anymore. Hey,
right.
Nothing going on in France anymore. No, if you go out in the street and you're in a big group, you're arrested. You're not allowed to do it. Stadiums empty. Concerts empty. Trade shows, hundreds being canceled. Conventions. So it's going to have a devastating effect on the economy if they keep promoting it the way they do.
Yeah, it's you're already seeing it, as you mentioned, cancellation of shows. I even saw that the NBA was saying that they would play games without any spectators or have people there. So it's it's taken on quite another life. The fear, as you mentioned it. And it's definitely rolled over into the economy and the markets. Let's look at some of the top trends for 2020 that you had mentioned in the Trends Journal, which again, one of the things that I would just say to all of our listeners and our viewers is that, as we're discussing right now, there's a business model for media, and it is not necessarily suitable to the consumer of it, right? The real I would say, customers or clients of media companies or their advertisers. So their business model is to draw eyeballs there. So there's a lot of misinformation. I go through some of the stories of the day and I go, I almost know less what's going on in the world just by going through all of this than what I did before I got to it. That's why you need the Trends Journal, because Mr. Celente and his team will break it down for you. They'll tell you what you need to know and what you should be looking at, not what they're trying to get you to look at. The top trends for 2020, the first one that you mentioned, let's touch on that briefly. Election 2020, Trump by default. It's an election year. I feel like every year is an election year almost. The cycles just keep on going. Some comments on that?
Yeah, what we forecast, again, the trend, these came out in early December, actually. And we put our top trends on.
Yep.
And Trump is going to win. And it's by default of the Democrats, because they got a bunch of lousy candidates running against them.
Yep.
And now it's going to be Biden. Biden's no way. Biden's going to. He's the Hubert Humphrey of the 21st century.
Yep.
And the guy, there's no way the young people are going to go out en masse to vote for him.
Yep. Absolutely. And as you mentioned, these come out in December. So we're kind of recapping now and looking at the trends as they unfolded. It's always fun for me to do because you're so accurate with all these things and how it plays out. 2020 New World Disorder. We've already seen a lot of disorder going on. Just looking at what's happening in the country where I was born and originally from South Africa, I could see that there's a lot of things happening right there. There's some uprisings and unrest around the world. What are some of the things that you've seen this year already?
Again, I've been in this business now. This is the 40th year, and I've never seen anything like this.
MC Lampshire, the creator of the Cashflow Ninja and Cashflow Coach at Producers Wealth, where we help our clients integrate infinite banking with their business and investments. To learn how you can create your own banking system to turbocharge your investments and business in 30 days or less, go to yourownbankingsystem.com. That's yourownbankingsystem.com.
Again, prior to Rosie, Queen of Coronavirus, showing up, Chile, Colombia, Peru, Bolivia, Venezuela, Algeria, France, Hong Kong, South Africa, Lebanon, one country after another. People taken to the streets in masses, protesting against government corruption, can't afford basic living conditions. Terrible. Violence, crime. When people lose everything and have nothing left to lose, they lose it. And they're losing it all around the world. That's the great world disorder. And now, as the global economy goes lower, this is going to go much higher because the wealth effect is it's not going to hit the top. Like you just saw the presidential reality show, this guy Bloomberg spending $500 million with a B. With $500 million. The money. That's all it's about. If you got the money. So, the ones that have the money, the coronavirus doesn't mean anything to them. It's going to be the average person. And the average is way low. And they're going to get hit real hard. More people leaving their countries. More corruption, more violence on the streets, more protests. They're going to do everything they can to stop it. It's out of control. But they're putting it in control with the coronavirus and any other scares that they can invent.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that you mentioned that's just so funny, I mean, speaking of the amount of money that certain people still have, who can afford to throw $1 billion in an election, a billion, and just say, yeah, it's not really going to work out. I'll just suspend my campaign. I mean, I guess it was some fun doing it, and then it's done. It's kind of crazy, right?
Well, no, it shows you the kind of people that seek the office. There's a great quote by President Eisenhower, and he was a 5-star general, Supreme Commander of the Allied Forces, warns everybody on his farewell address at the military-industrial complex. Is robbing the nation of the genius of the scientists, sweat of the laborers, and future of the children. That Eisenhower. He said, anyone seeking the office is either an egomaniac or crazy. And boy, you saw it. Elizabeth Warren, Beto O'Rourke, Bernie Sanders. It's a freak show. Trump with his comb over and bleached blonde whatever and all. It's the presidential reality show. Bloomberg, these guys would be nowhere. They're egomaniacs. End of story, in a country near you.
Absolutely. As you mentioned, and I followed you for years, politics is show business for ugly people, right?
Yep.
One of the other things you had mentioned, the uprisings and revolutions. We've talked about Off With Their Heads 2.0. It looks like this is global. It's not just in the United States. Yeah.
It's global. It's global. The rich got it all. Look, the numbers. I'm not making them up. Oxfam report, 26 people have more dough than half the world's population. United States, Buffett, Bezos, and Gates have more money than half of our population. Who owns all this stuff in the real estate market? The 10%. Rest have deep.
Yep.
The 1%
Absolutely.
has about 45%. You put the 10% in, it goes to about 90%, and the people have nothing.
And it's also the inflation with the low rates and so forth, too, that if you look at it, that the way that it's all set up is if you position yourself in hard assets like the wealthy do, then you get to benefit from inflation, right? Increased rents. And if you own businesses, you can raise your prices to keep up with inflation. So you really benefit from that, the asset inflation. But on the other side, when you look at the other side of the spectrum, the people that get hit the hardest with inflation, they don't own hard assets. They don't own businesses. They're working in it for a wage. They're the folks that get hit the hardest going out there and shopping for regular things that now cost a lot more money.
Yeah, and rents. They can't afford rents, can't afford to buy a house. Oh, by the way, now we're negative. We're going to, again, as Trends Journal subscribers know, I've been saying they were going to lower rates a year ago. I said we would be by election day, 2020, we're looking at zero to negative interest rate policy. The odds were totally against it, and now you're seeing it happen.
Yep.
It's only 1% away.
And you mentioned also in December when you released the top trends for 2020, you were speaking about the real estate market too. What are some of the things that you're seeing there currently? What's going on there? We've got a lot of real estate investors and folks tied to the real estate industry.
Well, this could really destroy it because you're going to see a lot of people out of work. What's going to boost it up temporarily are these very low rates. You're going to see a lot of mortgage refinancing. If this coronavirus thing keeps getting crazier, you're going to see people moving out of densely populated areas to more rural areas. Overall, it's going to have a strong negative effect if the equity markets keep crashing as they are. What are we back almost into correction territory, down over 10%. And if it goes into bear market, it's going to be down 20%. It's going to hurt every sector. Every sector is going to get hit by it.
Yeah.
My friend Brian Page has created a cash flow machine generating over $100,000 in 6 months without owning any real estate. His system consists out of renting properties from property owners and renting them out on Airbnb. His system is so simplistic, it can be managed by virtual assistants and yet so effective and powerful that it predictably generates cash flow every month. Brian and I are hosting a webinar where he shares his system and how it generated over $100,000 in 6 months for him personally. You can access this life-changing webinar at cashflowninja.com/BNB. This is one of the greatest cash flow opportunities I've seen since I've started my podcast. Again, the URL is cashflowninja.com/BNB.
It really brings it all together. One of the other things that is very, very interesting is to see, as some folks would call it, a mass migration happening in the United States from certain states. California, Illinois, New Jersey, New York, low-hanging fruit. Not to pick on those states, but there's a lot of residents moving from them and going to Arizona, to Texas, to Florida. What are some of the things that all of the folks at the Trends Research Institute are seeing around that, and what do you see?
Well, it's going to continue, and it's going to also. You mentioned California and Florida, as this Greatest Depression sets in. You're going to want to live in L.A. You're going to want to live in Miami, filled with homeless people all over the place. You're going to see a homeless crisis like we've never seen before. Homeless and helpless. It's one of our other trends. They all tie together.
Yep.
Oh, by the way, I said all industries are going to go down. Not all industries. The health industries are going to go up. Look, Campbell's Soup. They were having a tough time. Now their stocks are going up as people are stocking up on soup. And toilet paper business, boy, that's a good one to be in. Everybody's running around buying toilet paper. I can't see it. It's a riot. It's a riot. See, shopping carts filled with toilet paper. So there's going to be some industries that go up and some businesses, but overall, it's going to be, it's going to hurt. And the migration also out of more and more depressed places. So it's going to be a free-for-all. Yeah.
It's very, very interesting to see. And, maybe if you want to comment, too, on some of the jobs that were created, because we look at all of this stuff of what was happening the last 3.5 years. But that's also tying into this whole trend, real estate, the homeless and helpless, and then also basically this migration thing that our folks are moving from one area to another for jobs. What is a lot of the jobs that have been created in this economy?
Healthcare, warehouse work. You look at the numbers that come in. That's where they show the job growth.
Yeah.
Jobs that pay nothing, don't pay a living wage. And you're going to see more and more of those. And that's why people are leaving countries. The study just came out on, I think it was Thursday of, I think it was about March 4th on Latin America. The inequality there. Now, if you live there and you have violence, corruption, crime, you're going to want to get out of there. So the jobs that are being created go for a lot of low-skilled jobs. Those are mostly the ones where you need labor force. But there's way too many people and not enough jobs, not even close. And when I say this is going to be worse than the Great Depression, go back to 1930. There were 2 billion people on the planet. We've added 5.7 billion people in 90 years. 5.7 billion people. There's not enough jobs, not even close. So the migration is going to keep happening not only statewide, but globally.
Yeah, absolutely. And you talk a lot about there's many different topics covered in the Trends Journal, but also automation plays into this. AI is coming into that. So the job place is changing, and folks are going to have to upgrade their skills. And there's huge opportunity for folks that see all of this coming to see how to position themselves for it. The same way that there's a huge opportunity, and there was, for folks that saw the internet coming and saw Google coming.
Oh, there's always opportunities. Yeah. And one of my sayings is opportunities miss those who view the world through the eyes of their profession. Opportunity misses those who view the world through the eyes of their profession. And that's what the Trends Journal, that's what we don't do. We take a global look at things. And Globalnomic is our process, making connections between different fields. So the people really need to get out of their belief systems. And anybody that calls themselves, for example, in America, a Republican or a Democrat, grow up. How could you be aligned with these stupid little groups? So if you think of that kind of alignment and your mind is that close to things, you're not going to see the bigger picture or the future.
Right, absolutely. One of our conversations, and we've had several over the past 4 years since we've had the show, that I really enjoyed was one of the trends that you identified too was the nostalgic trend, where brands started going back to the way that it was with the old beer. I mean, folks, now it's out there, right? The old Coca-Cola bottle, the old Miller Lite kind of tin can, like as it was. For business owners out there, what are some of the trends with regards to marketing their businesses and positioning their businesses that you see out there?
Well, elegance is one of them.
Yeah.
Did you ever hear the expression "pigs can't fly"?
Yeah.
Been to the airport lately? Look what people look like. Look at the way they dress.
Yep.
Look how low it's gone. When I was a young guy, when I first started flying in business, in the business world, back in the early 70s, like 1974, I started flying first class. They'd roll out a roast, and then they'd say, "Would you like roast or lobster thermidor?" You know, and people were dressed up and looking good. And as society keeps going down, the service keeps going down, everything keeps going down, it keeps going down, it's all connected. So the smart entrepreneurs are going to look for the elements of society that want to lift it. I mentioned about the Great Depression and the Greatest Depression. I have a photo downstairs in my office of my parents' wedding, 1934, may they rest in peace. Immigrants. Worked in fish stores, construction, laborers, dressed to the nines. Elegant looking, fashion that beats out anything today. The Great Depression, 1934.
Life settlement investments have allowed financial and banking institutions to not only buy their equity contractually, but also diversify their capital from any economic, market, and geopolitical risk. It's been part of the billion-dollar blueprint followed by institutional investors. And if you're an accredited investor, you can also now participate in this vehicle with enormous growth potential. You can watch an informational webinar presented by one of the premier organizations providing life settlement investments, Penumbra Solutions, at cashflowninja.com/life settlements.
So the smart money is going to try everything they can to lift the people's spirit. And we began this conversation about how low the people's spirits are right now with coronavirus and the fear and terror. In our Trends Journal, it's a weekly now, the last week's edition was Coronavirus 9/11, spreading terror. So now you want the antidote to that. And joy and beauty is one of them. So smart marketers will lift the product line to lift the people's hearts.
Yep. It's so true. I was, when you were just sharing that, I was thinking of my one grandfather too, and he was a laborer in South Africa. And you look at the pictures that they had. They took pride in how they dressed themselves, and they loved to dance. Him and my grandmother. So every night there was a local town hall, and they would dress themselves. It's unbelievable. And then they would spend the night just dancing at the town hall, right? And it's going back to the elegance and taking pride in yourself. And he always said, when I was growing up as a little boy, he said, you can know a lot about a man, of the way that his shoes look, right? And here's someone that, again, did not have a lot of money at all, nor an education, but he took pride in his shoes and polished his shoes and made sure that the belt was polished and so forth. So it's nice to start seeing, and online too, there's a lot of people bringing that back already into their marketing, where they're dressing, even the online entrepreneurs, when it first started, it was a t-shirt and a surfboard, and now it's back to the elegant kind of look, where they're dressing nicer, they're taking care of themselves better, and how they present themselves. So I already kind of see that happening. So again, ahead, history before it happens, the Trends Journal. One question for you to finish on too. You cover a lot of technology, and one of the trends was high-tech heroin that you spoke about for 2020. There's a lot going on there that's not making the news. I wonder why, with regards to technology and also the dangers that folks are not aware of.
Oh, one of them, the 5G technology.
Yeah.
Radio frequency radiation. And I don't carry a cell phone. I began doing work for the Cellular Telecommunications Industry Association going back to the early 90s, when they had these big boxes into trunks with aerials in the car. And so I've been following the research since then. And just on the cell phone issue about radio frequency radiation, they're deadly in so many different ways. And it reminds me of my parents' generation when everybody used to smoke. And they used to have these ads, more doctors smoke Camels than any other cigarette. They knew it was killing them, but they couldn't stop using them. And now you look at all the implications from people overusing technology, it's on and on and on. The insecurity, all of the problems that they're having. And then there's the physical problems. And now 5G technology, where you're going to have antennas on telephone poles and lampposts and roofs everywhere. Everywhere. All this all these radio frequency radiation. Switzerland, they banned it. Brussels, they banned it. In America, they're selling it. And the people will buy it. Just like they did with cigarettes.
Yeah. Yeah. No, there's a lot of addiction too. That's
Oh,
the other thing.
Yeah. They're addicted to it.
Yeah,
You know why they call them handhelds? Because everybody's masturbating in public.
Yeah.
It's even just traveling and flying. You just look at people around at the airport, and everybody's just like this.
No communication.
Right.
And your studies are out how young people rather communicate, through the internet and whatever, and not meet each other personally.
Yeah.
No, the one study after another about the mental health effects and the physical health effects. But let's talk about the impeachment process and Russiagate. Let's put the money. Let's talk about something really stupid.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Let's get everybody all emotional and sell them some more stuff, or have our advertisers sell more stuff to them. One last question for you on gold. I know that you've really liked gold in the past. What are some of the things that you're seeing for gold and silver in the coming year?
Well, on June 6th, 2019, we issued a trend alert to all our subscribers. The gold bull run has begun. Gold was at $1,332 an ounce. Now it's around $1,670 an ounce. When gold breaks over 1720, 1750, in that range, I'm forecasting it's going to spike to 2,000. The downside risk of gold, I think, is around $1,550. If it goes below that, it could go another 1,000 lower. The bottom for gold I see at 1,390. Silver is not doing as well because silver is used in manufacturing. Silver has a lot of other uses for it.
Yeah.
And I mentioned we're in a global slowdown, which, by the way, was happening before the coronavirus, as detailed in the Trends Journal. GDP in Europe in the fourth quarter of 2019 grew a grand total of 0.1%. So there's slowing down before. So silver isn't following gold. Gold has to get really, really up there, and silver will start moving up. But I like gold better than silver, and I don't give financial advice, so I want to make that real clear.
Yep.
You provide the information, and I was just thinking when you sent out that trend alert, I was adding to some of my own gold portfolio at that stage too. And this is the insights. You get the information that the trend through the Trends Journal that they provide, Mr. Celente and his team, and that helps you to make decisions based on actual information, because a lot of stuff out there is a little bit of a hit and miss, and as we mentioned before, there to drive eyeballs to where they are. Mr. Celente, this has been fantastic to connect again with you. Always appreciate our conversations and appreciate all of the fantastic work that you and your team does. Where can folks learn more about what you do? Where can folks subscribe to the Trends Journal and stay informed of all the other many things and projects that you're a part of?
Very simply, by going to trendsjournal.com, trendsjournal.com, guaranteed the only magazine in the world that tells you what's going on, what it means, and what's next. Nothing else like it. And only $129 a year for a weekly magazine. And plus, we put out Trends in the News broadcasts and trend alerts as needed.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much again. Appreciate you. And thank you so much again for providing so much value, and have a wonderful, wonderful 2020, and look forward to speaking with you soon again.
And you too. Have a roaring 2020.
That's right. Have a roaring 2020.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye now.
This presentation is for educational and informational purposes only. The information being presented and considered does not consider your particular financial objectives or situation, and it does not make personalized recommendations. This material is not intended to replace the advice of a qualified tax and legal advisor or other qualified professionals, and you should not use the information in place of a customized consultation with a licensed professional regarding your specific personal financial objectives, situation, and needs. We believe the information provided is reliable, but we do not guarantee its accuracy, timeliness, or completeness.